Okay, so let's unpack this. Welcome back to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Today we're not just watching a TV show. We're kind of attending a masterclass in corporate restructuring.
Yeah. Corporate restructuring and asset management.
And just the absolute nightmare of logistics.
That is a very sanitized way of saying we're looking at how to rebuild a violent drug empire from the ground up.
Right. Without getting caught.
Exactly.
Fair point. So we are cracking open the dossier on Breaking Bad today. Specifically, we're looking at Season 5.
Episode 3.
Episode 3, Hazard Pay. And I have to say, just rewatching this, it really struck me.
How so?
Well, for a show that is so famous for explosions and, fulminated mercury.
Right.
This hour is just terrifyingly quiet.
It really is.
It's about the silence of a house being fumigated. The silence of a woman smoking a cigarette.
And the silence of money leaving your pocket.
Yes, that's exactly it. So just to give you all a quick overview of our sources and our mission today.
We are looking at the 49th episode of the series overall.
Written by Peter Gould.
And directed by Adam Bernstein.
And setting the scene for you here, this is the era of Kingpin Walt.
Or at least the era where Walt thinks he's the kingpin.
Right. He thinks he is. But the reality is much messier.
Gus Fring is gone.
The chicken man is checked out.
The power vacuum is wide open and being filled.
So the core mission of this deep dive today isn't to just recount the plot. You guys know the plot.
We want to analyze how a meth empire is rebuilt literally from scratch.
And the hidden costs of doing business.
The titular hazard pay.
Right. And we also want to look at the psychological unraveling of everyone involved.
Because the honeymoon phase is definitely over.
It's totally over.
Yeah.
At first, it kind of feels like a heist movie setup, doesn't it?
It really does. You've got the team getting back together.
Looking for a new location.
But instead of the Bellagio vault, they are looking at termite tents.
Pest control tents and pianos. It's wild.
But the significance of this episode is all about logistics and economics.
Yeah.
It transitions the characters from being employees to being owners.
And it immediately shows them the heavy burden of overhead.
So here is the roadmap for what we're going to cover.
First, we'll explore the whole Vamonos Pest scheme.
Then we're going to look at a very surprising musical interlude from Skinny Pete.
Which is just an amazing scene. After that, we'll break down Skyler's mental state and that famous shut-up scene.
And we'll analyze the climactic financial breakdown where reality hits Walt really hard.
And finally, we'll look at the polarized critical reception.
Why some critics loved it and why one outlet actually ranked it dead last.
Dead last. We will definitely get into that. But first, let's solve the biggest problem on the board.
Right. Segment 1, the new lab.
The Vamonos Pest solution.
So let's look at the constraints they're facing. Walt, Jesse, and Mike need a place to cook.
And they need volume. Walt is not doing small batches anymore.
But the super lab is gone.
It's a crater.
And that whole hide underground model is just dead.
It requires too much construction.
Too much capital.
And way too much time. They don't have months to dig a hole. They need cash flow right now.
And they obviously can't go back to the RV.
No, the RV was amateur hour. Long gone.
Crushed into a cube.
Right. And it was unsafe anyway. The product quality varied. Plus, a giant bullet-riddled vehicle out in the desert draws way too much attention.
They need an industrial-grade environment.
But they need secrecy without the infrastructure of Gus Fring.
And Walt's solution here is, frankly, brilliant.
You really is lateral thinking at its finest.
He proposes using houses that are being tended for fumigation.
A mobile meth lab hidden inside termite tents.
Which brings us to Vamonos Pest, a local pest removal company.
Let's dig into the mechanics of this because it's just genius. A house gets tented for termites. It's wrapped in that heavy canvas.
That green and yellow striped canvas.
Right. And what does that signal to the neighborhood?
It signals danger. It signals poison.
Yeah.
It triggers a primal instinct in the neighbors to just stay away.
It's the perfect urban camouflage.
If you see a tented house, you don't go look closer. You hold your breath and you walk faster.
It creates a zone of absolute privacy right in the middle of a crowded suburb.
Hiding in plain sight.
One of the reviews we looked at from Collider called this a stroke of genius and ripped from the headlines.
It really feels like something that could actually happen.
But the complexity here is the human element. You need a pest control company willing to play ball.
And that's where the vetting comes in. Saul Goodman finds Vamonos Pest for them.
And the key detail here is that the owner and the employees are already criminals.
Right. They run a burglary ring on the side.
They use the tents to case the homes and steal jewelry while the owners are out.
This is such a crucial detail. Walt isn't out there corrupting innocent exterminators.
No, he's just upgrading existing criminals. They are the perfect accomplices.
They agree to facilitate Walt and Jesse cooking while the houses are tented.
But think about the risk, though. You're inviting burglars into a multi-million-dollar meth operation.
People who are professionally dishonest.
Right. Walt is trading the high-tech security of Gus's cameras for the honor among thieves of a guy like Todd Alquist,
Which is our introduction to Todd.
played by Jesse Plemons.
In this episode, he's just an employee of Vamonos Pest. A worker bee.
He's just the guy lifting the tent flap.
Yeah.
But the way the camera lingers on him.
He's too obedient.
Yeah, he represents a completely blank slate.
Almost eager to please. Unlike Mike's guys, who are professionals with a code.
The Vamonos crew are just opportunists. So anyway, the first cook is a success.
The mechanics of the cook montage are so precise, the homeowners leave.
The Vamonos crew rolls in, they tent the house.
Then a massive road case rolls in, like for a touring rock band.
And inside the case is the lab.
A modular breakdown lab.
This marks a massive shift in scale.
They aren't hidden underground anymore. They are roving through the community.
They set up in a living room or a kitchen, tap into the house's power and water.
Essentially stealing utilities to cook meth.
And when they're done, they mist the air with a scent that mimics the termite poison.
Pack up the lab and leave.
It is the ghost kitchen concept applied to the drug trade.
But consider the thematic implications here. It visually represents the cancer of the drug trade literally entering family homes.
That's a great point.
In previous seasons, the meth was made in isolation, in the RV, out in the desert.
Or hidden deep underground in the industrial laundry.
Exactly. Now it's a parasite. It's invading the American home.
The meth is being cooked where families eat, where kids watch TV.
It's the drug trade infecting the suburbs, hidden under a tent of pest control.
The irony is so thick, they are the actual pests.
That lack of a buffer zone extends to the team's psychology, too.
Which perfectly transitions us to segment 2.
Because right amidst all this grime and toxic fumes, a moment of absolute beauty.
A moment of beauty. Skinny Pete on the keys.
I love this scene.
It's jarring, isn't it? It's one of those wait what moments that makes the show so incredibly rich.
Skinny Pete and Badger are in a music store buying road cases to hide the lab equipment.
And Skinny Pete sits down at a keyboard.
And you kind of expect him to play chopsticks.
Or just smash the keys.
Or maybe a hip-hop beat.
Right. But instead, he rips into this complex classical piece.
Solfeggito in C minor by C.P.E. Bach.
Composed in 1766.
And the production fact here is mind-blowing. This wasn't a double.
No, it was actually the actor Charles Baker playing the piece.
The writers noticed his real-life musical ability and just wrote it into the show.
But looking at the critical reaction, Allison Keene from Collider described this moment as funny, but also deeply sad.
Why is it sad, though?
Because it highlights the wasted potential of these characters.
Exactly. It hints at a lost timeline.
A sliding doors moment for Skinny Pete.
To play a piece that complex, you have to have discipline.
You learn it in a conservatory or with a strict teacher over years of practice.
He had potential. He had a brain that understood structure and beauty.
But Skinny Pete is more than just a street-level dealer or an addict.
He has depth and talent that is being completely squandered.
And look where he is now, buying cases to smuggle meth equipment.
For a guy who ultimately doesn't care if he lives or dies.
It destroys the stereotype of the junkie as a mindless zombie.
It forces you to look at Pete and see the person inside.
A person who maybe could have been a concert pianist.
It's a massive break from the darkness to show humanity.
And when he finishes the song, Badger compliments him. But Pete just shrugs it off.
He dismisses his own talent. He doesn't value the best part of himself anymore.
That's the real tragedy. It's a beautiful, melancholy beat.
But if Skinny Pete is suppressing his talent, let's pivot to segment 3.
Yes, because Skyler White is suppressing something much more volatile.
Terror. The domestic collapse of the White household.
The famous shut-up scene.
The White household has become a prison.
It really has. The lighting is darker. The conversations are shorter.
Which leads us to the car wash.
Let's set the scene. Marie and Skyler are at the car wash.
Which, remember, was Skyler's idea. It was supposed to be the safe, clean front.
But now it's just another trap. And they're discussing Walt's upcoming 51st birthday.
And Skyler is just vibrating with stress.
You can see it in her face. So then we get the trigger. Skyler starts to light a cigarette.
Now, smoking has been Skyler's coping mechanism, her little rebellion.
But doing it in front of Marie inside the business? That is a cry for help.
And Marie confronts her about it. She goes into full nagging sister mode.
You can't smoke in here. Think of your health.
And then she says, does Walt know?
That's the trigger, that name.
The realization that every aspect of her life is controlled or contaminated by him.
And Skyler just suffers a complete nervous breakdown.
She starts screaming, shut up at Marie, repeatedly.
But as the expert analysis points out, this isn't about the cigarette at all.
It is the accumulation of terror.
Skyler is trapped. And Marie's trivial nagging is just what breaks the dam.
She doesn't scream in rage. She screams in absolute desperation.
Let's talk about the framing here. The camera is super tight on her face.
It feels claustrophobic.
And the repetition of shut up loses its meaning as a command.
It becomes a chant. She's trying to drown out the noise of her own life.
She is trying to silence the horrifying reality of her situation.
Marie is just the nearest source of noise.
But then we have to look at Walt's spin on this event.
Because the aftermath is where the true darkness of Walter White really shines.
Marie goes to the house. She confronts Walt about Skyler's state.
She's terrified. She thinks Skyler's having a mental break.
Which she is.
And Walt doesn't panic. He just improvises.
He tells Marie that the breakdown is due to stress over Ted Benicki's accident.
He reveals Skyler's affair with Ted.
This is a key takeaway. Walt weaponizes the truth.
He tells her the truth to tell a massive lie.
Right. He uses the humiliating reality of the affair to cover up the much darker reality of his criminal life.
He paints himself as the saintly, forgiving husband,
supporting his unstable wife. He plays the victim to explain away Skyler's trauma.
It effectively neutralizes Marie. She was a threat because she was asking questions.
Now she pities Walt and judges Skyler.
It isolates Skyler completely. She can't tell Marie the real reason she's screaming.
Because that means admitting to money laundering and meth manufacturing.
So she has to eat the lie.
It's gaslighting on an Olympic level.
He secures the home front by destroying his wife's reputation with her only remaining family.
And speaking of isolation, let's move to segment 4.
Emotional manipulation. Walt, Jesse, and Andrea.
Walt is running the exact same isolation play on Jesse.
The setup here happens following the successful first cook in the Pest case.
Walt and Jesse are sitting on the couch having a beer, bonding.
It feels almost like the old days. Season 2 vibes.
And Walt feigns this deep enthusiasm for Jesse's relationship with Andrea Cantillo.
He asks how Andrea and Brock are doing, with a smile.
Which should make your skin crawl.
As Claire McNear from The Ringer points out, the monstrosity of this is off the charts.
Walt is advising Jesse on Andrea, while we, the audience, know that Walt recently poisoned her son, Brock.
He poisoned a child to manipulate Jesse.
And now he's acting like a supportive mentor. It's truly sociopathic.
But he has an agenda. He delivers this subtle poison pill.
He subtly hints that Jesse should break up with her.
He doesn't demand it. He just plants the seed.
He argues that secrets will ruin the relationship.
He tells Jesse that for her safety and the operation's security, she can't know the truth.
It's a logical trap. If you tell her, you endanger her.
If you don't tell her you're living a lie, is that fair to her?
He frames breaking up as an act of love.
But the real outcome he wants is isolation.
Exactly. And the outcome is that Jesse goes home and breaks up with Andrea.
He's heartbroken, but he thinks he's doing the noble thing.
And what's the critical connection here? Walt is isolating Jesse.
Removing outside connections to make him solely dependent on the meth business.
And dependent on Walt. If Jesse has Andrea, he has a tether to the real world.
He has a reason to eventually go straight.
Walt needs Jesse to be an island.
So everyone is isolated now. Skyler is trapped. Jesse is alone.
The lab is running smoothly.
Which brings us to the climax of the episode. Segment 5.
The economics of crime. The hazard pay scene.
This is the core conflict of the episode, and really the season.
Mike, Walt, and Jesse sit down to divide the spoils from the first cook.
The visuals are striking, huge piles of cash on the table.
Anything like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
But then Mike gets out his notepad, and the cuts start coming out.
Let's break down these expenses because this is where the fantasy of being a kingpin dies.
First, money goes to the dealers on the street. You need distribution.
That's a huge cut right off the top.
Then the mules. The transport team takes their cut.
Then Saul Goodman, the lawyer for legal and laundering services.
Then Vamonos Pest, Ira and his guys get a cut for the cover.
You can literally see Walt physically wincing as his millions turn into thousands.
But the real friction point is the hazard pay.
Mike insists on paying his former subordinates.
The legacy employees of Gus who are currently sitting in jail.
Why do they have to pay guys who are in jail?
To keep them from talking to the police, they are buying silence.
The DEA is hammering these guys. If one of them flips, the whole operation collapses.
It's a risk premium. Insurance.
But Walt's reaction is just pure fury.
He sees this as money being taken out of his own pocket for people he doesn't even care about.
He eventually relents and agrees to pay it, but he is visibly angry.
Ken Tucker from Entertainment Weekly called this a beautifully simple lesson in economics.
Gross versus net income.
Walt realizes that being the owner means absorbing all the overhead.
The comparison is brutal. Walt deduces he is actually taking home less money now than he did as an employee of Gus Fring.
When he worked for Gus, he had zero overhead. Gus paid the mules and the bribes.
Now Walt has the crown, but the crown comes with a mortgage.
Jesse tries to offer a different perspective, though.
Jesse argues they're looking at it wrong. They are owners now, so they'll make it up on volume.
The classic startup fallacy. Volume doesn't help if your margins are terrible.
And Walt knows that.
Yeah.
Which leads to this very ominous conclusion.
Walt hints that they might need to get rid of some team members to improve their margins.
He compares himself to Victor, Gus's old henchman who was killed.
Implying he feels undervalued, but critics correctly noted he's actually comparing himself to Gus or Starface.
He is conflating corporate restructuring with actual murder.
Looking at human beings as line items that can be deleted to improve the bottom line.
It's chilling.
Mm-hmm.
Which moves us to segment 6, the reception and critical divide of this episode.
Viewership was solid for cable in 2012, watched by 2.2 million Americans.
A slight drop from the previous episode, but still very strong.
But the reviews were incredibly polarized.
You have the lover. Ken Tucker from Entertainment Weekly called it a marvelous episode,
praising the problem-solving and that phenomenal money division scene.
But then you have the hater. In a 2019 ranking by The Ringer, this episode was ranked 62nd out of 62 episodes.
Dead last, which is wild.
Why the massive discrepancy?
Well, it's a setup episode. It moves pieces around rather than offering explosive action.
We established the lab location and the money rules, but nothing explodes.
If you rank based on adrenaline, it flatlines, but the character work is top tier.
Skinny Pete on the piano and Skyler's breakdown are essential moments.
Allison Keene from Collider originally planned to give it a C, but upgraded it to a B, specifically because of the Skinny Pete scene and the cook montage.
You can't have the chaos of later episodes without the structure built right here.
Exactly. So let's hit the outro and summarize what we've learned.
Hazard Pay is the episode where the romance of being the kingpin dies.
Walt realizes the crown is heavy and very expensive.
It establishes the new status quo. Vamonos Pest. The breakdown of Skyler.
And the financial tension that will drive the entire rest of the season.
And we want to leave you with a provocative final thought to mull over.
Walt ends the episode hinting at violence to solve an economic problem, the hazard pay.
Jesse thinks they're building a business based on volume. He thinks he's a partner.
But Walt is already thinking about corporate restructuring via murder.
The tragedy is that while Jesse is playing business, Walt is looking at everyone else as a line item to be deleted.
A terrifying realization.
It really is. Thanks for diving deep into the ledger of Breaking Bad with us today.
Always a pleasure.
See you on the next Deep Dive.